Welcome back to another episode of the Biz and the Bees, where we get to the nuts and bolts of the business world. Today, I have a great guest on. I'm excited to talk to Chris Allaire. Chris is somebody I've known for damn near 20 years now. Chris is a top tier recruiter who I've leaned on in the years as a hiring manager to help me build great tech teams and find individual roles. And probably won't talk about his day, but used him once to find a role for a team member I didn't need anymore, which was another whole story we'll come into at some point. We are going to be diving into the topic that's impossible to ignore, and that's artificial intelligence and the massive impact it's having on hiring, recruiting, and quite frankly, the future of all of our jobs. Is AI making it easier to find the right people or just adding a new layer of complexity? And more importantly, what does that all mean for you? Chris, it's great to have you on the show, buddy.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Great seeing you again.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are? I know all about you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And but I'm sure our guests would like to hear a little more about who you are and where you come from and what you've been up to the last few years.
So, well, thank you for the introduction. So, first of all, my name is Chris Allaire. By trade, technology recruiter. I've been in technology staffing and recruiting for almost 30 years. Started a career in Boston back in 1998. Pre-real internet stuff, client server, VB, SQL Server type of stuff. Moved to San Francisco, got to experience the .com bubble out there, and the bubble, the fun, the burst. Actually did pretty well during those times. It's a really good client base. That was a good times. After that, kind of moved a little bit all over the country. Found myself in New York. Got back, kind of in the technology staffing business, started a company with a person I'd been in business with prior in the past, built a couple offices and built that entire company from scratch out. Then things were just kind of grew apart, started a different division for another massive publicly traded company out in New York, got that to about 15 people, didn't like what was going on over there, left and decided that it's finally time to do my own thing. And so a little bit about me. So I run a company called Averity. Averity is now 11 years old. I started it with my laptop on my dining room table with my now 12-year-old daughter, who was 6 months old at the time. I liquidated my 401k, kind of put some money away to make sure my kids and my wife are going to get fed, and went heads down and did it. So I am a chronic entrepreneur. I am a baseball enthusiast. Play some guitar, decent golfer, girl dad, very good cook, crab cake connoisseur. So I dig some long walks on the beach also, but I like to, like short walks are a little bit more my thing. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. That's I knew most of that. I learned a few little things in there I didn't already know about you. So that's been helpful for me too. It's been in the time that I've known you, things have changed a bit. We used to on the hiring side of things, I used to call you and I'd literally get a short list of candidates in an email, and you'd find those 3 or 4 people you probably had to sift through a mountain of paperwork to get to. Now you have AI that can do that initial screen in just seconds. From your side of the fence. But there's also the other side of the fence where it can also create that much more work for you. So talk to me a little bit about, let's start on your side of the fence. How has that technology made it easier to find the top talent, or has it?
It is. It has, I don't know, to be honest with you anymore, because I don't think it's an either. I think it's confused a lot of people more than anything else. The positive aspects are, if someone has genuinely written a real good resume and if they have a good background, you can dump some stuff into these Copilot engines and it can summarize it for you pretty quickly. So I'm sure in your case, you've been around the block for a while. If you've had to summarize your experience from everything you do, it's hard to do that in one piece of paper, and it's hard to do that type of stuff. So if you put together a 3-page document, if you will, I'm going to read it and I'm like, wow. And I'm just got a quick summary on it, much like we already did in this other chat. It would probably highlight some things or tell me some things that I could look at and say, okay, wow, this is really cool. So that's been helpful, especially when there are positions that you're just not familiar with out there. And especially in the technology sector. If you don't understand technology and you're recruiting in a technology sector, it's a very difficult space. Because if someone says you need a Python engineer,
All right.
and you need to know that Python is not just a keyword. Python is arguably one of the most used, utilized languages out there in the technology world. It's used for everything from web development to distributed systems to, creating data pipelines, all this other kind of stuff. So if you're just going to do some type of weird Boolean search or things like that, and you get Python back, you're gonna be sifting through. You don't even know where to start with. So it's been nice to say like, hey, show me, where this person used, built that distributed systems and blah 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 blah, and it can bring back examples for you in these brilliant LLMs. So that's been helpful. The part where it's killing everything is years ago, what people figured out is that basically over time in recruiting, we've always had these Boolean searches, searching for this and this or this, but not this, etc. So when it comes to the systems on the back end that people think are recognizing all these words and the keywords and whatnot, they've decided that on the front end, what I'm going to do is front load this document with all these keywords so it matches the semantic search on the back end, right?
Yep.
So now, and then people have developed basically bots or ChatGPT was most of us are using. And now what you're doing is taking a job description, you're uploading it. And you're taking your resume and you're uploading it. And you're saying, fix my resume so it matches this job description. And then that is the resume that's now automatically getting sifted out to 100 different job ads. And I'm not saying that everyone's doing this, but I'm going to tell you that most people are doing this.
Yeah.
So on the back end of it, now you are receiving a resume from somebody that you have no idea how real any of this information is on it. You have no idea checks and balances on dates and times. And if I'm going to try to put into a system, it's like, hey, how well does it match my job description? It's going to match perfectly.
Right.
So you basically now have a system on one side of a bot that's trying to screen out the other side of a bot that's written it. So it's literally like, if anyone's ever seen war games, at the end of the movie, it's tic-tac-toe plays against itself and it's impossible to win. So because that's just the way it works. So that's what's been going on in the recruiting space these days. I'm not, again, this is not everybody that's out there, but people are not reading job ads. They're blindly applying. They're on LinkedIn. There's literally a button you press and AI tailors your information to the job description and automatically sends it over. So you're getting everything's like perfectly tailored. So it's really, it's really hard to tell what's authentic, what's real, what's genuine, and what's going on these days. So it's actually made, so there's two different ways of looking at recruiting, but it's made screening and sourcing and all that crap behind it extremely difficult. The ways it's been beneficial are search and finding people. And I mean, like, I want to find someone who's got this coming out of this type of company in this generic area, and then you can find those people. What I'm not a fan of is these systems that are like just sending out blind emails, because now as a good recruiter, what my job is to do is connect to you on LinkedIn and then go through the proper, what we would refer to as old school channels,
Right.
of proactively reaching out to somebody because I read your background and it looks good for this role.
Yeah. So that you're bringing up sort of an interesting point. I go back to even today when I talk to you, if I'm looking for a particular introduction or I'm looking for a particular type of person for a role, you say to me all the time, trust me, you need to talk to this person, right? And that carries a lot of weight with me because I do trust you, having worked with you over the years. AI is built to match keywords and patterns on paper, like you described, so efficiently. And then to use AI to build what should match on the back end, it becomes a little bit fulfilling and self-prophetic, right? So how do you fight the algorithms and fight for the candidates that the algorithms might miss? And can you still sell a hiring manager on that gut feeling that you have today?
Absolutely. So the short version is absolutely. The reason why is so all my interviews and the way our team is been using these technologies isn't state of the art cutting edge. I mean, it's really cool, but very simple Google Meets
Mhm.
and using a Gemini note taker. And the way we've always interviewed people has always been the same way. What do you want to do? What really interests you? Tell me, industries you want to work in, et cetera. What's your reason for leaving? And we gather all this information about, gathering really what they want.
Mhm.
And then when we start diving into their background, we're like, hey, explain to me this project. Explain to me how you did it, how it was built, what was your role in the team, who was the product for, et cetera. And what we're listening to is communication, articulation, their ability to explain to us what they actually did. And once you've interviewed enough people, you can tell right off the bat, like, okay, this person obviously knows what the hell they're talking about. This is really good. And then you throw some quirks in there, like, hey, did you run into any bottlenecks? How were they solved over there? And then it's other questions like, hey, I heard you couldn't do this on this technology platform before. How did you guys do it? And you hear the way they explain and articulate it to you. So right off the bat, we're gathering all this information. And then we like to go back, a couple different jobs and get all this type of stuff in. And when you're gathering all this information, so now we know off the bat, wow, this person is like, they know what they're talking about, very articulate, very smart, intellectual curiosity. They check the boxes of something I really want to present to a client, because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to work with this person, and people hire people.
Mm.
So you've got my voice behind it
For now.
and what we're doing is taking this transcribed notes of their interview with us, dumping it into ChatGPT, and then saying, give me a summary of Philip Barber. And it'll take the notes from our interviews and put a very elegant kind of bullet pointed summary of what we've talked about that is not specific to a job,
Mhm.
is not specific to, the CTO role that I'm trying to recruit you for. It's just, this is what this person does. And so we've been able to take that with our sales skills and say, here's Philip, here's my notes on this person, transcribed. Like, here's transcribed notes from my interview. And by the way, here's the resume.
Gotcha.
So are you going to see what you're looking for on the resume? You're going to see some things that you like, but look at the notes. And then when I've had clients read the resume, they're like, I don't see what I'm looking for. I'm like, read the notes. And then they read the notes like, oh my God, we need to get this person for an interview right away. And then those people have excelled during the interview because of that technique. So that's been extremely helpful. And I also know this is when I come at somebody and I represent them with unwavering belief, I'm not amazing, but I'm pretty good at it. And not a lot of people are gonna say no to me.
The trust me, you need to talk to this person line has worked on me before. So I'm
Well,
sure
I'm not here to waste anyone's time out there. Hopefully no one's here to waste mine, but it's like, listen, I like this person a lot for your job.
Yeah.
You should talk to.
I love it. I love that. I think there is you're really sort of boiling down. You're really getting behind the facade that you put on as an employee, to try to present your best self. And you're really getting behind the curtain and getting to the essence of that person and who they are. It's not just about the skills, right? Yes, you need to be able to write code. Yes, you need to be able to, be a leader. Yes, all those things need to be true, but you also need to be a decent human. And you need to fit the culture of where you're being placed. So I love that you're going beyond just the resume, to get at the essence of the person. So that's an awesome thing. Let's see. So as you look out over you have a unique seat, right? You're sitting above, you're talking to lots of people across lots of markets. You're talking to dozens of leaders and hiring managers, a week, I would imagine. As AI continues to change the skills that companies need, what's your advice to the average tech professional who will be listening right now? What's the durable human skill you see consistently in demand, sort of what we just talked about, that they should be focused on developing and highlighting when they're presenting themselves in a job market?
So the phrase is intellectual curiosity.
Mm.
The idea around it is understanding that everything we are dealing with today could be eliminated or is probably going to have changed by tomorrow. If you go back to papers that were written 18 months ago and articles 18 months ago to 6 months ago to 2 weeks ago about where we are going to go versus where we are, it is dramatic shifts. So I would tell people right now, you need to understand that you are sitting in the middle of a basically greenfield landscape surrounded by fog. Is you have ideas on where you think it can go and hopefully where it might and hopefully where it won't, but you need to be nimble enough to pivot at the drop of that. And if you are, and you understand conceptually what's going on and why this is happening, you're gonna do okay. But if you are locked and wed to your way, you might find yourself in a little bit of trouble because you're just
You're limiting the slots you fit in.
You're wed to your way. I think about if you go to change a tire and all of a sudden there's a lock on the hub and you're like, oh my God, I have no idea what to do. It's like, well, welcome to you just gotta change the tire, man. Like, I hate to tell you this, but tire's still round, it's still there. The way the philosophy on these things are a little bit different these days, but it's you got to understand the way these things work, but you've got to be able to adapt and to change and to understand that everything is happening today. Whatever's in front of us is a total unwritten, unforecasted theory of imagination on what road may lead where, and it may cross and it may not. But the way I look at it is like, we have no idea what's up next. We have no idea what's going to happen. So I used an analogy the other day with somebody. Somebody asked me, I'm like, we're comparing AI. It's like, what AI is like? It's like the aliens landed here finally. Like they've been out there for a long time, but they landed, and now they're here and they're just like walking amongst us, and we don't know what they're capable of, and so we're kind of like, can you do that? And they're like, sure, I can do that. And then they totally screw it up. You're like, okay, so you can't do that. And then they do something else and you're like, oh my God, that was freaking amazing. Do it again. And then they do it again. You're like, yes, favorite alien ever. And that's what we're like, yeah, but now we're still looking at these aliens like, but we have no idea, like, are they going to take over the world? Are they going to eliminate all of us? Are they just going to be like, become servants and literally just do all our house chores and like go to the store for me? What are these aliens going to really do for us now? And we're still on that verge of like really trying to figure, are they safe? Are they listening to everything we're saying? But what are they doing? There's that language was like jibber jabber or whatever, the gibber thing that they out there where they noises start talking to each other. Like, are they speaking in different languages? Are they talking about me? Like, what's going on? So we're in that space right now where like the aliens we don't know what the aliens are really doing out there. We like to think we got them where we want them, but do we?
We've definitely opened the box and we've invited them in. So it's going to be interesting to watch the cultural shifts that occur over the next, I was going to say couple of years, but probably the couple of months, honestly.
With the way it's going out there, I feel like I'm reading something every day that someone has a different opinion about something every single day.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I've come to that conclusion. Like, you just got to get involved, but let the landscape kind of unfold and see where things start to land.
Yep. I agree. Any thoughts you want to share before we wrap things up? Anything on your mind that you wanted to topics you wanted to discuss that we didn't cover already?
I got a whole series theory of things, but I think the biggest thing I say is people, there's There's uses for things. Don't get caught up in the shiny objects. No, I've worked myself recently, and it's like there's a lot of power in a lot of these things, but don't start trying to find problems for it to solve. Understand what you're doing, understand why you're doing it. Stay in your lane. But you can, when you start to realize that, oh, now I can do this, and now I can do this, and now I can do this. It's like, okay, well, like everybody slow down.
Yeah.
Like you still got to find something you're good at and do it better than anybody else.
Yeah, I think we're going to fall very, very hard and fast for the action versus result mentality. I'm doing stuff, so that's important. And the reality is it's not. You need to be results oriented. So, and I think there's some powerful uses for those tools as I like that. Don't pay attention to the shiny object. So,
I'm not gonna lie, I fell for it myself, not long ago. I literally lost sleep, and I was just like, and I woke up, I was like, I'm all over the place. And I was, because I had this work and I had this work and I had this work, and I was like, you know what, dude? Like, relax, bring it back home. Like, remember what you're here to do. Remember why you're doing this, and find something you're good at and do it better than anybody else. And if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. And I was like, you know what? That's the key for me.
solid advice.
And then I tuned in all this stuff, and I eliminated. I was like, I don't need this, and I don't need this, and I don't need this. I'm like, I don't need all these bots and agents and aliens doing all this work for me. I'm like, honest with you, like, I'm really like, it took me longer to program this crap to figure out how to do it than I could have just did it myself.
Sure.
Right? I was like, it's not that hard. So again, a great example of get caught up in the BS around the shiny object that is not necessary. Versus like bringing it back home, and I've got two executive searches I'm in the middle of right now. And it was really nice because the guy I was talking to on the phone or on a Google Meet with me, and he's got a pen and a notepad, and he's writing things down. I know, right? I got one in my hand. And I was like, I'm like, what his company does, which I'm not going to reveal all this information, but it's in a manufacturing space and there's no AI involved. And there's some really high level software products that they have to use to run things. But I was like, and this is a $50 million company.
Well, there's those social cues, the pen, the paper, all that essence that you guys get through your process. It really makes it much more effective, even in this age that we're in. So I appreciate that as somebody who I don't use you often, but when I do, I know I'm getting what I need. Well, hey, listen, Chris has been great. It's clear that while technology is evolving at light speed, that irreplaceable human element you've described earlier, the intuition and the relationship building that you've built into your career, it's more critical than ever. And I appreciate you sharing your insights with us today. Hey, for everybody who's listening, where can they go find you or learn more about Averity and the work you're doing?
Honestly, right now it's going to be LinkedIn. Still kind of the hub of the social business world. So until AI has taken over that one, then you can find me on LinkedIn. The website is averityteam.com. So my contact information is up there. Our whole mantra, the whole X factor, everything we do is up there. And the good old fashioned Google.
Awesome.
Just Google Averity and you'll find us. That's for sure.
Awesome. Well, that's all the time we got for this episode of the Biz and the Bees. A huge thanks to you, Chris. I appreciate all of you for tuning in and watching. If you got some value out of this conversation, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.